Alright everyone, in this tutorial I'll give you an introduction to Maya, a program that is very commonly used for 3D modeling, animation, and ringing. Okay, so once you open the program, here's the interface, and here you can see the workplace. The workplace is set to Maya Classic by default, and it depends on what function you are using. And if you do modeling, you can switch to modeling standard. Okay, or if you are working on animation, you can switch to animation, and then you can see it opened the timeline for you. So in most of the cases, I would prefer just to do classic. So here on the left side is the toolbar, and down here is the view, the different views. So let's go to the top menu, the third one. Let's do create, and let's do create a polygon primitive, a cube. Okay, so here's the cube, and if we select the selection tool, we can, select any object in the scene, right? And we can deselect this cube by just grab and select an empty point. And the second one is the lasso tool. The lasso tool is the same as in Photoshop, the lasso tool, which you can grab a particular area and make a selection inside of that area. And the third tool is basically the pinch selection tool. So this tool is more commonly used when you want to select the points. So let me show you. If I am in vertices and then I use pinch selection tool, and then I can just paint. And depends on what area I'm paint, I'm selecting the vertices, the points. Okay. And let me go back. So okay, so to exit this tool, you'll have to hit Q as quit. Okay, so you'll have to quit the tool, and then as I hit Q as quit, and you can see that you switch back to selection tool, and then I can right click on my mouse, and you can see there you get several menus. So what are these means? So right now we are at the vertex mode, in which you are able to select each individual points, and by changing the points, you change the shape of the object. So that's the vertex mode. And if you go to right click, again, hold your mouse right button, and you can go to edge selection mode, and then in edge selection mode, you are able to select individual edge and change its position. Okay. And if you right click again, and you can go to object mode, in which you select the whole object. It depends on how many objects in your scene, and in object mode, you are able to select one single object or multiple objects. And right click here, you also have face selection mode. You can select an individual face and change the shape of each face. It's very powerful. So basically, vertex mode, edge mode, object mode, and face mode are the four common selection mode we would use for the entire modeling session. Okay, so UV, basically UV is related to its texture. Okay, so we'll get back to this while we are doing the texture for it. Okay, so we'll explain later. All right, so let's switch back to object mode. And you can hit Command Z to go back and make your cube go back to the initial pose. Okay, so this is how it originally looked like. So I'll talk about the first three tools, and the fourth tool actually is a move tool. As you can see when you select it, here you get the arrow pointing to different axes. So basically that is the move tool. So with move tool, you're able to move your cube in 3 axes, X, Y, Z in the space. And second tool is the rotation tool. You can put your, if you select this tool and put a cursor on each axis, you can rotate your cube whatever you want. Okay. And third tool is the scale tool. With the scale tool, you can scale your cube in 3 axes, or you can scale it in one axis or two axes. As you can see, if I go to this plane, I'm scaling down based on X and Z. Okay. So these are the transformation tools. And there's a short key. So for move tool, you can see it's a W. So if you hit W, select an object, hit W, and you'll go to the move tool. And EK is for rotation, which you put a cursor on rotation tool, and you can see that here, EK. And RK is for scale, put a cursor on it, and here is it. And for each different tool, you can grab on each individual slider, or you can click on this plane. So for each plane, you're going to change the attribute on both axes. Depends on what axis is on the plane. Okay. So you can see that in my view, I'm rotating, I'm orienting around the scene. So how can I do that? So if you hold down Option key, the Alt key, Option key, and use your mouse left button, and you'll be able to, orient around the scene. So it is Option, in Windows is Option, or Alt, A-L-T. And if you use Option key or Alt key, and then hold on, and then use your mouse middle button, scale up or scale down. You can zoom in and zoom out. Okay, so that's Option key with mouse middle button. And same key, Option key, hold on your Option key, and then use your middle mouse button, but this time you just click on that and go left or right. You'll be able to pan around. Pan left or pan right or up or down. Okay, so basically it's like you move in your view. Okay, so as you know, we are editing this cube in 3D environment. So right now we are at the perspective view. As you can see here, it says perspect. So that means perspective view. And here you get this reference axis. So this is x-axis. This is z. So that means this view is a front view because we are in front of the z, and the right side is x, and the up is the y-axis. This is the front side. Okay, so you can go to individual view window to check your model in different view. So this is the perspective view where we are, the enlarged perspective view, or you can go to 4 different view by clicking on this button. And this is the perspective view, and this is the side view. And as you can see, here's the axis. So basically we are in front of the x, which is this side. Okay, so this is the front side, which is the z, which is this side when looking at this cube. And this is the on top view. As you can see, the y is in the center, so that means we are looking down at our cube. Okay, so it's very helpful while you are doing modeling. So you can click on this button to get into switch between these different views. And you can also put a cursor on your view and hit space key, and then you'll go back to the 4 different view. And then you can put your cursor on either one of these views. So for example, if I put my cursor on the top view and I hit space key, I can enter the top view, and when done with that, hit space key again, I exit this top view, and then put my cursor on perspective view and hit space key. So now I go back to perspective view. Okay, third icon basically is a panel near out, and when you click on that, you'll go to 2 views, right? So the right view is the perspective view, and the left side is front view, but you can change the content here. For example, if for the left window, if I want to display the top view, and then what I can do is I go to panel and stereo. Oh wait, sorry. Here, orthographic, and you can select the top. And here is it. You can see the switch at the top. Or if you create your customized camera and you place it in space, and then you can go to panel and perspective, and your camera will show up here. Okay, and then let's talk about different type of model. So here, remember in the beginning, I go to create and I went to Polygon primitives and I created a cube. Okay, so as you can see, there's two different primitives, actually three. So what difference are these? So basically, in most of the scenario, when you do modeling, you would use a Polygon primitive. So when you do a Polygon primitive, for example, the cube I've created, it had been formed based on these edges, and you go to vertex. It has 8 vertices. So basically, depends on how many vertices and edges you have. The more vertices and the more edges you have, you will have a smoother model. Okay, and also when you transfer your model to different program, like a ZBrush or a Modbox or game engine like Unity, Unreal, they all read Polygon primitives. So if you go to NURBS primitive and create a cube, and you will see basically it looks like the same, but as you can see, I can select each individual faces. So they're separated. Okay, they're not together. And the vertices is also different. For example, I go to control vertex, I select 1 point, 2 point, and I move it. It totally looks different. So these points are not the actual vertex on the plane, on the edge. They are control vertex. So it depends on how far I place them and what direction I place them, I change the shape of this plane. And as I change the shape, as you see, even though I'm changing the shape, but there's nothing I created in between these edges. So there's no line, no vertices. So it's totally different. As you know, for Polygon primitive, if you want to bend this plane, you have to actually create edges, create a point here, or you can't do anything, you know, to make this bend, to make this a curve. But in NURBS primitive, you can do that. Okay, so let me show you a different object. So if I do Polygon primitive sphere, this is a sphere, and right now it has about like a 20 subdivision on each axis. So if I narrow it down for subdivision, if I go to 10, I have less vertices and less edges, and you can see it's less smooth. All right, so if I go to NURBS primitive and create a sphere, again, it looks the same, but at the same time, when you select the points, and these points are the control vertex as the same as the cube. So you are using this control vertex to change the shape of it, and in total, it just has about like 3 subdivisions on y-axis. And then here it has 8 edges on the side. So for the Polygon primitive, I actually have more subdivisions, but you can see that it gets more rough. But for the NURBS sphere, it gets smooth, even though you don't have much points. Okay, so it looks great. Okay, and sometimes when you do modeling, like a creature, like vase, like a bowl or flower, anything that has a very kind of round shape, and you can use NURBS. You can start with a NURBS primitive. It's very easy, but the thing is, you can't use NURBS primitive NURBS model in other program like ZBrush and Modbox and Unity, as I mentioned. Later on, after you did the modeling, you have to transfer the NURBS model to Polygon model. So you will make it, you will keep the shape, but add the points, add the vertex, add the edges onto it, and make it to a Polygon primitive. And then you can use it for other programs. So that's the workflow. So as the start, we will just use Polygon primitive. Okay, so NURBS primitive is more specifically, I would say, designed by Maya for modeling here in the program, and it doesn't support it in other program. And then even if you started with a NURBS primitive, and eventually you have to convert it to Polygon primitive. Okay, so Polygon primitive is the thing you would see in any other 3D programs. And volume primitive is more kind of you use it as just the volume. For example, for the sphere, sometimes you can use it as the skybox to simulate the skylight, or use it to simulate the smoke, fog, or anything, And same thing for a cube and cone, and you can use it to simulate lights. So it's not an actual model. Basically, it's like a field you create and apply things onto it. Okay, so these are 3 objects that involve with modeling. And we'll go to the lights, camera, other things later.